Whew, hot one today. I want to share with you something that my father taught me about male friendships. Something that I've noticed being in the men's space, being in men's work for all these years, is that men generally lack close male friendships, like authentic male friendships, men that they can trust, that they respect, men that will call them forward, men they can lean into, men that won't judge them, men that will extend compassion, yet also healthily challenge them, men that will take them to places that they can't go by themselves, because we're relational beings, right? Like we need each other to grow. We need each other to be better versions of ourselves. We need each other to move into the profound as opposed to remaining in the profane in life, the mundane, the basic, the average. And we don't want average. We want to be better than average, yet we get stuck in often below average. And a big part of that, particularly for men, is that we don't have support. We don't have other male support that we can reflect back and forth from. Oh, so steamy, so hot here in Texas. So this notion of average plagues us as men because we want to be useful men. We want to be men of utility. We want to be men of contribution, right? And that's a blanket statement. I get that. But I promise you, if you interview 100 men, the vast majority are going to say, yeah, I want to be useful. I want to add value to the world, to my community, to my own life, to my own vision and purpose for self, to my family, to my partners, to my children, whatever it may be, right? And so I watched my father growing up in real superficial friendships, never allowing anyone in, never letting anyone into his heart, not really letting anyone close. Everyone was his best friend, but at the same time, he kept everyone at arm's distance and at arm's length, and everyone was simultaneously the enemy. I saw him with 20, 30-year friendships instantly dissolve. Now, I know I could look at that and say maybe there were certain things that happened that led up to that contributed to that, the dissolving of that friendship. And there was no conversation. He would one minute be speaking so highly of these men, and the next minute slandering them, literally slandering them, telling me and the family how fucked up they were, how they were dogs and they were bad people and they were cheaters and they were liars and they were all these things. And I watched him do this multiple times throughout my life. And it was strange for me because I had such a juxtaposition, because in my own life, I pursued friendships and created friendships with other men, albeit some of them weren't completely healthy, but there was loyalty there was trust there was vulnerability there was reliance there. I could trust my friends to be there for me, virtually no matter what. They would always be there for me. I could count on them. And I think, that old adage, my father taught me how I didn't want to be. Or we may say that about our mother as well. My environment taught me how not to be. And my father taught me how not to be in friendships. And I often reflect on my life and I think, fuck, wow, I am super lucky, super blessed, super privileged, super grateful that I have had amazing male friendships throughout my entire life, making friendships with men instantly. And I attribute a lot of that to what I grew up witnessing and how I did not want to be and the type of friendships I did not want to have growing up. And what I learned about that and learned about myself was that if I can be real in my friendships, if I can open up, be vulnerable, be truthful, speak my truth, carry the essence of who I am forward in every conversation, in every interaction, then I'm building a bond. Now that's hard to do because it leaves us open for rejection. And I have a fear of intimacy. That's one of my core fears. It's not as prominent and powerful as it used to be in any capacity, but it's still there. And so getting close to someone has often been challenging, but I had enough experiences that showed me that men can be trusted, although early on in my life it was very difficult, particularly my primary male role model being my father. But I had an amazing uncle, which was at a distance because, well, he lived in Greece and I lived in Australia. Of course, I lived in Greece when I was younger, but then we moved back to Australia. And so that was challenging. I had my grandfather. So I had this confusion around, okay, are men safe? But for some reason, somehow, maybe my dharma, maybe my karma, maybe something, I chose to focus on taking the path of trusting men and trusting myself in relationship to men and giving myself that, because I yearned for that intimacy and closeness from my father, but could never get that. And so I reflect back on my friendships and I picked up so many traits of my father that I didn't want. And so many traits of my mother that I didn't want, like the abrasiveness and the impatience and the sarcasm and the passive aggressiveness and the direct aggression as well. And not allowing anyone in, yet I was allowing people in. And I think I was confusing my friendships and my friends. Yet for some reason, if they disagreed with, I know why, but if they disagreed with me or I disagreed with them, I would be very abrupt and I would be rude. But for some reason, they stuck around. And I don't know why. Maybe they saw the genuine nature of my heart. I was very giving. I am very giving as a friend. And in part, the healthy part was coming from just a genuine yearning and desire to connect to people and give to people and see them be happy. And the other maybe unhealthy part was insecurity and wanting to be loved and wanting to be seen and wanting to be respected. And these are basic human needs, but it was coming from a wounded place, right? Coming from a place of I'm not enough. It was coming from a place of codependence, a sense of unworthiness. And I think maybe they sensed that and they felt sorry for me, or they tolerated me, they were patient with me, they extended to me what I wanted to extend to others but sometimes couldn't. And they stuck around, and I think that reinforced my notion of, okay, men can be safe, male friendships can be safe. And from that point, I softened a lot more, and I saw that my friends loved me and they wouldn't tolerate my bullshit, but they stuck around, they didn't go anywhere, and they didn't abuse me for it or hold it against me. We would mock each other, and in Australian culture, there's, unless you're slandering each other, you're not really real friends. It's a funny culture. I think English culture has that as well. And so does Greek culture too, just constantly, berating each other. But in a way that, sometimes we go beyond those limits, but in a way that I want to say is endearing. And so they stuck around, and what it taught me was that men are safe. And in the men's work that I do, so many men don't feel safe. So many men feel disconnected from their bodies, disconnected from their social circles, and it's sad. And my father taught me how not to be in relationship with man and with self. He taught me that it's really important to hold on to male friendships and to work through them. If you have a disagreement, if you have an argument, then talk through it. Work it through yourself first. Breath, sound, movement. Work that shit through. It's something that I learned along the years is to be responsible for my own emotions, responsible for my own pain and fear and whatever it is that I'm experiencing, right? And then take it to a man if I need support from him, or if I have an issue with that specific man, but take it to him from a place that's not charged. My father had no control of his emotions. He was always charged. He reacted, he shot first and asked questions later. And I did that for so much of my life. Even though he taught me how not to be, that pattern had such a control over me for so long. And in an instance, sometimes it still does. But I can reflect back to, and I can, the goodness in my life, and I can revert back to a new way of being, and a way of, how do I really want to show up for this man and for myself and for humanity and for community? How do I want to show up for what my values and principles are? And how important are male friendships to me? Well, I think if you look within, they're really fucking important. And it helps us grow as men, and it helps us be better men for our families, the earth, community, our own vision. And so don't be that man that is scared to make contact with another man. Choose the men that you're vulnerable with, that you trust, that you respect, that you revere, that you can sit in front of and be witnessed, and also be pulled forward and be challenged and into a better version of yourself. We don't have enough of that. But that's changing. And it's really changing, and it's really shifting. And I'm honored to be at the forefront of that movement, particularly here in Texas. Some big things coming. I'll leave it there, and I'll just say, men, you need men in your life that are healthy and that will call you forward. And ladies, encourage your man to be in relationship with other men, healthy men, where these men can move with, dance with, and fucking wrestle with, and go deep philosophically with, and explore with, and just even experience pain and fear together and learn to grow together through that. Yeah. We need more of that in our lives. Power and blessings to you.